Do you think that that we are seeing PMQ's finest hours at the moment?
No. Today's was a bit poor,
Yeah.
I'd say. I don't really... It's one of those things where sometimes Keir Starmer is really clear what he's getting at. Like the thing that he's trying to land. A couple of weeks ago, it was the lethal chaos of ambulance strikes, or it was, trying to pull together lots... No, there were several things you could do. Either hammer away at the government on something, or you can pull on lots of threads which then tell a bigger story. I don't really know what he was getting at today. He started on Nadhim Zahawi, which felt a bit after the Lord Mayor's show. And then he sort of drifted into a bit of Dominic Raab. And by the end, I can't really remember what he was sort of getting at. And actually, tellingly, I think didn't have my sort of noisometer on the go, but I think Rishi Sunak got the best reaction from Tory MPs he's had. PMQs, which is surprising given everything that's been going on. You'd have thought it would have been worse.
So the charge that Keir Starmer was levelling at Rishi Sunak was that he was too incurious about Nadhim Zahawi's affairs, which is quite a strange term, too incurious. It's not terribly punchy, is it?
It's not, and particularly when, this time last year we were embroiled in "you're a liar" with Boris Johnson over Partygate. That was the allegation being laid by the Tory party, by the Labour Party. Yeah, so the thing he was trying to do was he hadn't asked enough questions about Nadhim Zahawi that anyone else would have asked. He didn't ask enough questions for Dominic Raab before appointing him as anyone else would have asked. But I don't know, it just felt like this was not one that we were going to remember particularly. And I thought that, Rishi Sunak's getting slightly better at it. I mean, there's all against the background. Well, Labour Party has still got twice the vote shares the Tories have in the polls. There's no obvious sign that Rishi Sunak is moving there. Maybe it doesn't, as long as Keir Starmer doesn't muck up himself, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. What about the problems that the Labour Party might have with women? Because Rosie Duffield came up in PMQs today.
I thought that was an interesting counterpoint for Rishi Sunak.
But is there a possibility that Rishi Sunak can't really land a punch about Rosie Duffield because maybe you could make the same kind of charge about the Conservative Party, and especially if it then brings in trans rights to any kind of debate?
I thought that was interesting. I can see why Rishi Sunak did it. So in response to... Keir Starmer says basically Dominic Raab's a bully and why haven't you done something about it? Rishi Sunak's response is, well, some of your lot are bullies as well, and pointed out that Rosie Duffield has faced appalling abuse and attacks from her own side over her stance on trans rights, including, it was reported, the head of comms from the Labour Party was a bit rude about her in a coffee queue, and which is not the worst thing that's ever happened in the world. But anyway, but you're right. I think pulling on the trans, you need to be quite sure of where you're going if you start pulling on the trans thread, because there are people with very, very strong views on either side who you risk, inflaming. There's a whole load of people in the middle who think, what are you talking about that for? Why aren't you talking about schools and hospitals and all that sort of thing as well? So I thought it was basically it got Rishi Sunak through a difficult session.
It's not really a comparison, though, is there?
No.
In really, when you get down to it. I mean, there are a lot of people who've made allegations against Dominic Raab, which he denies.
Yeah.
The investigation, we're told, is underway.
Yes.
But apparently it could be months before we find... I mean, is he really going to be able to carry on sitting there on the front bench?
Well, I thought it was really telling, because I wrote... Was it a couple of weeks ago, I wrote my column that basically the Tory party have got a problem that loads of their people can't appear in public. Nadhim Zahawi couldn't appear in public because of his tax affairs. Dominic Raab hadn't appeared in public for months because of bullying. And then that Saturday, my column was in the paper, Dominic Raab appeared on the telly because he was the only person who'd go out and talk about Nadhim Zahawi. So you sort of know that you're at the bottom of the pile if Dominic Raab is the one who's been put out there, because he can't go anywhere to talk about... he's the Deputy Prime Minister. What's the point of having a Deputy Prime Minister?
If he can't be seen in public.
If he can't be seen in public.
Yeah, well, here's my prediction. This time next week, I'm not sure he will be the Deputy Prime Minister.
Well, because we're heading towards half-term, aren't we? It's always a good time to turf someone out.
There we are.
Yeah.
You can go and find an open sea. It was closed, wasn't it?
The sea was actually closed, famously.
Yeah.